Thanks very much. I gave a brief introduction to CORDAP yesterday, or was it the day before, so I'll just skip those slides, move strictly through the call, and mostly make it a question and answers session, so if anybody has any questions on this. But just to note, I mean, CORDAP is very much a global initiative. It was started in the Middle East during the Saudi presidency, but it is completely global. Any country is welcome to join, and we've been reaching out to many countries to try and increase the membership. Okay, so I've kind of answered those. That's the main goals and objectives. Those are our main members and societies. That's our timeline, which I'll go through in the call, the strategic plan. Okay, so this is a call we have recently launched. Deadline is November the 1st. So eligible projects can span across the full range of novel early phase projects, like foundational science, through the final proof of concept developing and testing. The earlier phase projects would really be tied into a particular intervention concept, and we're really looking for kind of impact out of these. Short-term impact, the better, transferable, affordable. We hope to have about $18 million for the entirety for the call, and about $1.5 million. Projects can run between 1 and 3 years. And the main criteria is there must be a minimum of 3 applicants on a team from 2 countries, and 1 country must be a low middle income country, and that can include upper middle income. The first stage is a concept note, so it's a pre-proposal. So the first part of the proposal is quite brief. Shouldn't entail a huge amount of work. The main amount of work in this will probably be getting the team together and hitting the criteria. So it has been launched. We're going to have 2 webinars on October the 4th, 6 a.m. and 3 p.m. UTC, and you can register for those on our website, cordap.org. And we anticipate notification to submit a full proposal by December the 5th and around then, and funding notifications around the end of May. So we're probably hoping projects will start maybe 2 months after that with contract negotiations. So here are the project types: novel R&D projects, improving or scale up existing interventions, translation, fundamental science, and capacity building and local implementation. We have identified a number of program priority areas, but in effect this first call is very, very open. There's no real area which is out of bounds. I mean, if you can make a case and make a good impact case, then you can pretty much be sure the project will be eligible. We have a number of scoping studies in some areas where we're looking to define roadmaps, so that's just something to keep in mind if you're in one of those particular areas. There's the scoping studies there. Again, the 3 applicants, at least 2 countries, a diverse team. All organization types are eligible, not-for-profit, for-profit, government, NGO. If for-profit businesses want to apply as applicants, they need to demonstrate that they're actually not going to make a profit from the application itself. They can be contracted from an applicant institution in the usual way, but if they're going to be an applicant, that's one of the conditions. All applicants must have the authority and independence to run their project within their organization, so faculty within universities, kind of project managers within companies, etc. We'll award to the lead organization, so there'll be, for example, if there's 3 organizations, 1 will be a lead. The lead applicant will submit the proposal. We'll, as CORDAP, will disperse the funds to them, and they will sign and form a consortium agreement between themselves. The evaluation criteria, so there's a 2-stage application process. As I mentioned, the kind of pre-proposal or concept note stage, which will be quite brief. Out of those, the people will be invited to either submit a full proposal or declined with feedback. So everybody who submits a proposal will get some feedback from the panel of experts. The proposal against the criteria, they're kind of fairly normal criteria: the qualifications, the novelty of the idea, the quality of the management, value for money, the cost effectiveness, and the broader impact. Okay, so there's a couple of funding policies that you would probably need to be aware of, or your institution need to be aware of. One is the IP policy. So it's a criteria that any of the CORDAP funded developments should be freely licensable for any organization, commercial and non-commercial, for coral restoration use. And that includes any background IP that comes to this. Now, I know a lot of institutions will kind of kick back against this, but there is precedence for this. And also they can monetize it in other areas. So this criteria only applies to coral restoration and conservation. So any other area they can monetize and utilize the IP to its full, which we encourage, in fact, because it allows more kind of funding and availability for the IP that's there. Open access is quite common at the moment. Publications on our data should be freely, immediately, and openly accessible to all. No barriers to reuse. As part of the application, you can submit for necessary reasonable fees to make the publications open access. And the research data and software should be available for everybody as well. And I think there's probably ongoing work on how best the different organizations can come together to make all the data in one place, one repository, easy to find. So how do you apply? So we have a dedicated submission system. The links will be on the website as well. It's a CORDAP system. Only the lead applicant needs to register. They can go through a very simple registration process, just looking for name, organization, contact details. But the important thing in this really is to read the call and policy documents initially, carefully. Make sure your institution is aware of the policies as you apply. Ensure the eligibility of the team, the type of idea. So we don't actually fund restoration activities themselves. A couple of people have asked me questions about things which are extremely important to, say, coral reefs, which would be water quality, for example, utility water quality. Like that is something which obviously is important for reef, but it's not an R&D project as such. If there's commercial solutions out there they can put in there, it's not actually something that CORDAP could fund. Even if somebody came up with a novel utility water quality idea, I mean, it might be worth looking at if it's transferable and affordable and which shows them make a huge impact across coral reefs. But some of those ones which are a bit kind of detached from the coral restoration itself, even though they're quite important, if they can be funded elsewhere under other programs, given the limited funds we have, we would probably recommend that people submit them elsewhere. But if in doubt, feel free to submit. The reason we have a concept note stage is it's supposed to be a kind of a smaller burden at this point. And also strongly encourage to read the strategic plan. This is kind of the foundation of the call, what CORDAP's thinking, where we're looking to go, so you can align your proposal with that. So what's in the concept note submission? It's punches out like the background. What are things done today? What's your work plan? What are the outcomes? What's the impact? What's the pathway to impact? So an intervention concept summary is also required for the translation type projects. So if you have an idea to translate a technology or develop a technology further, make it lower cost, if there's anything else that's needed in the whole pathway to that being implemented, you just need to outline it there. So for example, if another technology is needed to add it to your idea in order for it to make it implementable anywhere, then you should be aware if that work's going on, is it not going on, when might it be finished, how would you interact with that? So it's really just putting a small description around the entire concept. And budget notes. This may be another thing which a lot of universities would not be used to. I'll actually stop there because I've got a 3-minute thing, so if anybody wants questions, and I thought I used to speak quick. Consortium agreement, all this is there. I mean, if you have any questions, there's quite a good payment up front for, again, to encourage developing countries who may not have the resources to kind of work on a project and get paid in arrears. The scope and studies I'll skip. And the main thing is, at this point, because there's only a month left, is pretty much put the team together. So any questions? And I'll be around for the next couple of days as well, so feel free to grab me at any point.